This has been one of the biggest weeks in TNA history. One of the more positive weeks in TNA history. And there's been so much that has gone down. Um, and hold on, sorry. Okay. Well, I got through 3 topics in 20 some odd minutes, which I did not think that I was capable of doing. Um, but let me just say this right now. I'm gonna put a bow on some of this stuff. TNA is not for sale. They're not interested in selling. WWE is not interested in buying. Okay. Tony Khan never had the opportunity to buy TNA officially. Maybe they were interested. I think they probably were, right? Or at least they're interested in having a conversation, but that ball never got off the ground. So AEW did not lose out on anything, and TNA did not lose out on anything there because nothing was ever happening. There was no pitch, there was no buyout, there was no nothing. So I just want to just clear that up right now. That is not happening. TNA, as far as financially goes, is as good as they have been in a decade. Okay. They are way better off right now than they have been since they were on Spike, as far as being financially stable. They have a $1 billion company backing them. I'm not talking about WWE, I'm talking about Anthem, that is fiscally conservative. I think they're like libertarians, like in real life. So they're trying to spend wisely and efficiently. And some of these salary, and they weren't even salary cuts. Like those people, their contracts are coming due. So it wasn't like it's not like Trent Seven had 2 years left on his deal and they came to him to take less money. No, like they were negotiating with him for a new contract and they wanted him to come in at less money, right? And Rhino, PCO, all these other cats. Okay. It's because they have a budget and they're trying to stick to it, right? And the money that they were using, that they would have been using on those people, they're now reallocating those resources elsewhere, and we've seen some people sign. I don't think that Frankie Kazarian's taking less money to stay. Okay. I don't. And I'll get to that. I'll get to that signing in a minute. But I don't think that a guy like that's taking less money to stay. I think they see the value in him and that he can bring something to the table, so they just push the money elsewhere, right? They're renting out bigger buildings. The production is incredible right now compared to what it was 2 years ago. This show, far and away, starting with Genesis and then on into Impact Live, looked so beautiful. It was everything that I've been wanting this company to look like for a long time. It's everything that I've been complaining about they're fixing, which could be detrimental to this program. But they're doing so good, right? So it's like if you could save money on a Rhino and put it towards equipment, put it towards production, put it towards marketing and promotion, right? It's like it sucks because you want to be pro worker, but however, it's like now you're seeing the why, right? The why isn't we don't have money. The why is we need money elsewhere. We need to push those resources elsewhere, and we need to start bringing in some younger talent. I wish they would have done some more of that this week, to be honest with you. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So, but I thought that this was probably the best week in TNA history. And we got to go back to Genesis a little bit. Now, the word is that they sold 4,032 tickets. That's according to WrestleTix. Dave Meltzer reported that number, and then before that number came out, he said that it was about 4,000. Brian Alvarez said it was about 4,000. Tommy Dreamer said 4,500 at first, and I know where that number came from. That building is a 9,000 seat arena. They set it up for half, so he assumed it was 4,500. He wasn't taking into account the ring, the stage, the aisleways, the production, it's like the hard cam stuff, and so he was like just kind of doing some simple math, right, without taking into account all the other stuff that come with it. So, and then he said that that the arena actually holds 8,500, so it was like half of that. So he's saying 4,200. I'll be honest, and I'm not trying to throw cold water on it because I'm gonna go with the 4,000 number for real. I think that number is probably the more accurate number. I did talk to somebody from Impact who said that they had heard that it was 3,600, but they weren't in the building, so they didn't really know. But they had heard 3,600, but even that was kind of an estimate. But the number going forward is going to be 4,000, right? So, and give or take, right? It's so close to 4 either way. You might as well just go with 4, right? So they did 4,000, right? So that's just what we're going with. And the crowd was hot. Production was insane. Production looked great, right? Everything was clicking. Okay. We can complain about booking all day, every day, and we're going to. That's, but the show looks great. The production looks great. They're selling tickets. The crowds are hot. Everybody's engaged with the product. They got a ton of momentum, right? Everything looks great. Looks like a professional production, right? Camera work is awesome. Lighting is awesome, right? They're always gonna have minor snafus here and there, and they did on the pay-per-view and they did on Impact, and that's just gonna be the case going forward. That's what happens with live TV, and but I thought that it looked great. I thought San Antonio looked great. I'll be honest, a little worried about those ticket sales, but they were able to get out there. I think they papered it quite a bit. And but they did a boots on the ground marketing campaign. They got the wrestlers out. They got Moose and Tessa and Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry and the Hardys out there hustling ticks, because they don't have the power of a television show to be able to push their tickets. So they got to get out there, get their stars on the radio and on local news and in the community, get them out there hustling. And according to people that were there, it looks like they probably did in between over 1,500 per night, which for Impact is freaking great. For like episodes of Impact to do 1,500 both nights, 2 nights in a row, that's huge for them, right? The place was full both nights. You can get to 2,000 on those in that arena, the Boeing Center at Techport in San Antonio, beautiful venue. It's probably the best looking venue that they've ran in a long time. I know they did it in September, and I was like, wow, this place is beautiful. It just looks clean, right? And it was smart of them to use this venue for their first live episode. So I thought everything looked great, and they're getting to a point where they're starting to remove all of the stuff I can complain about. So, it's wild. It's wild. Chad, I'm going to get to you guys. In a sec. I just had some points. I had some points listed that I just wanted to hit. Okay. And one of the ideas that I had, and it was based off of a report last year, was them moving to a fixed location or a semi-fixed location. And I had been talking about that for years. I was like, you know what? I think the problem with the Impact Zone at Universal years ago, it wasn't that they burned the crowd out. That crowd just migrated over to NXT, and they always remained hot, right? Is because what they were giving that crowd wasn't good enough. And so that's why the crowds died down. That's why they were cold when they were there towards the dying days of the Impact on Universal. That's why they had to black out their venues, to black out the arenas. So I thought it wasn't the city of Orlando. It was the company not doing a good enough job of putting out their content that people wanted to see. So they quit coming, right? I think right now they're back and they're hot. And I think moving back to a semi-regular, I don't want to say like permanent, right? Like 100%. I think a semi-regular location would be a smart move for them, right? And then pick a city. But I was like, they need to be in a place that looks good on television, because they're working a lot of venues that just don't look good on TV, right? And then when they do, a lot of times, they're having trouble selling tickets and yada yada. The place was like blacked out. It was a whole mess with Impact Wrestling. But at TNA Impact, so far looking good. They're able to sell tickets. They're able to, and the crowds are hot and engaged. And that's been a bonus, right? It's like, it's hard to criticize the show when the crowd is so hot and so engaged. So it's just something that I've been saying for a long time. Well, then last year, a report came out that they were interested in going to Full Sail. I was like, that's perfect, right? That is perfect. That would make complete and total sense for them to go to Full Sail University. And but they ended up firing Lou D'Angeli, and I guess that deal fell through. I guess at one point it looked like they were possibly going to go there full time for TNA in August of last year, and they were working on it, and the deal fell through because they had fired Lou D'Angeli, who Lou D'Angeli was the point man. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that is just the word that got out there, and I think that word might have gotten out there by Lou D'Angeli himself. I don't know that for a fact, but that's just what I think. Okay. And that's the difference. I'm not reporting that. That is just me. That's Conspiracy Mike again. Conspiracy Mike takes over sometimes. But that is just what I think of the situation. So the deal falls through. Well, I think they built some trust. They continue to have discussions. So apparently Full Sail is who they actually went. Full Sail actually went to TNA with this idea because they wanted to bring wrestling back to the studio, and they were working on it. The deal falls through. Lou D'Angeli gets fired. They continue to have conversations. WWE is a part of that. They're keeping WWE updated. They have the partnership with WWE, and bam, next thing you know, they're back at Full Sail. So they will be starting at Full Sail. As of right now, only 2 dates, but they'll be going live February 20th. From Full Sail University, and they'll be doing a taping on February 21st. I think this is a great idea. I thought that the PC would be open to them because of the relationship, but that they're not going there, and Full Sail is probably the better location. From what I've heard from people that go to those shows, that have been to the PC and that have been to Full Sail is much easier to access, much easier to get to. It's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit nicer. And you can sell tickets to it, and you can actually park at the venue. With NXT, you have to board a bus to go or take an Uber right to the venue because there's nowhere to park. So, but with Full Sail, you can actually access the park. They have a parking lot. It's a college, right? You can park at the college and then just go to the venue. So a lot of people saying that this is actually the much better deal for TNA. Not only that, with Full Sail, and I don't know that they're going to do this. So this is just, but like you can, that is a place that teaches like video production and all that stuff. So you can actually bring students on, and now you're starting to groom the next crop of production engineers and, editors and directors and all those things. You're starting to groom that next crop, and you can actually use the students as essentially labor because now they're getting credits. WWE used to do that back in the day with NXT when they were there forever. And so now TNA would have access to students to be able to come on. It's like, hey, no, come on. Now, we'll teach you how to work cameras, video editing, video production, producing, directing, all that stuff. They're going to be able to bring some of those students on. I think it's going to look clean. It's going to look beautiful. And I think this is only positive for TNA. Now, how often are they going there? I don't know. That hasn't been reported. I would like to see them go there. My idea was like, that's just, unless you're going to like a beautiful venue like the Techport Boeing Center in San Antonio, like you're gonna be in Full Sail, right? And I think Orlando is a hotbed for pro wrestling. I think and I think you can only do like 500 seats at Full Sail. So I think that they're going to keep it full, and they're going to be able to sell really cheap tickets and, try to make a little bit of their money back. So unless you're going to like a really nice place, I would say that they're like Full Sail University is where they should be going. I know in March they have a taping in El Paso, and then they got tapings in St. Joseph, Missouri. I wouldn't be shocked if they went right back to Full Sail University after the Rebellion pay-per-view in April. That would make sense to me. It's like, hey, they do the live pay-per-view, then they come back. So maybe quarterly shows at Full Sail. I could see that being the case, like a semi-regular residency there, doing whatever it is. So quarterly, going there every 3 months, times out by 8 shows a year, maybe even more. So who knows? But I am all in on this Full Sail deal. I've been wanting this for a long time. I've been advocating for them to go there forever. Once I heard that it was even a possibility, I was like, that's the move. Full Sail was um, that NXT era at Full Sail was awesome, man. Like 2015 to 2019, like a 4-year period, like NXT was my favorite TV show. I was out on TNA for up until like 2018, and then I started incorporating TNA back in. But before then, like NXT, Raw and SmackDown were terrible. Yeah, New Japan on Access, but that was like older. It was older material, and it was it was an hour, so I was watching that too. But it was like NXT. I thought was like the best weekly show on television for a long time. I thought it was just really well booked, smartly booked, and had all the best wrestlers from the Indies, and had a lot of TNA wrestlers because TNA was dying at the time. So I just thought that was fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what it looks like, TNA from Full Sail University. But right now, this show is in danger because I have less stuff to complain about.